Safety induction for all employees and contractors working on the Norske and OG Fibre Solutions mill site. The mill site has a set of rules put in place to provide a safe working environment with consideration given to its obligations to meet the Health, Safety and Employment Act, with the aim to ensure your safety and the safety of others while working on the mill site. All employees, contractors and visitors to the site need to comply with these rules at all times. If there is any breach of the rules, misconduct or substandard work, there is a procedure that normally follows 3 disciplinary steps. However, in serious cases, this may result in instant dismissal or a total ban from this site. This induction video provides information about the health and safety and other rules for our sites. It is approximately 33 minutes long. Please answer the questions on the questionnaire whilst watching the video. There will be time for questions after the video. Once completed, please sign the questionnaire and hand it to the person inducting you. We will keep this record to confirm that you've been inducted into our site and are familiar with its rules. Your safety and the safety of others are a priority for both Norske Skog and OG. Please wear all requested PPE while on site and follow all safety rules outlined below. These rules appear in the form of drug and alcohol policy, induction cards and personal access cards, using entry card to operate gate, movement on-site road rules, signage, personal protective equipment (PPE), work procedures including isolations, group isolations, work permit systems, emergency and evacuation procedures. Drug and alcohol policy. The Norske Skog drug and alcohol policy applies to all contractors working on its site. Before commencing work on the Norske Skog site, you need to undergo and pass a D&A test ASNZ and provide certificate of proof. A recent D&A test and certificate that meets the Norske Skog requirements issued no more than 6 months prior to taking up work on the Norske Skog site will be accepted. D&A certificates are current for 2 years from the date of issue. The D&A expiry date will be added to your access card. Your card will be deactivated after the D&A expiry date. Please provide the Norske Skog administrator with an updated D&A certificate to stop your card from being deactivated or to reactivate your card. Contact Norske Skog reception 07 323 3999 with any questions, and reception or emergency response and security department on 07 323 3456 to arrange reactivation of your access card. Please note, if you are seeking dual induction for Norske OG site, you will be required to undergo and pass a D&A test ASNZS or provide a certificate of proof of test within the past 6 months that meets the ASNZS and Norske Skog requirements. Induction cards and personal access cards. After your induction, you'll be issued with 2 cards. An induction card that contains important information and emergency phone numbers and is proof of your induction. Keep this card with you at all times when on site. 2. A personal access card with photo ID that allows access to the NST and OG site. These cards are allocated to you only, no sharing, and will allow you entry and exit through designated gates. Both cards have an expiry date which will be printed on the card. Your access card will not operate the gates after that expiry date has passed. Check the expiry date on your cards and arrange an appointment for your re-induction before those dates to avoid any inconvenience. Please note, any vehicle site access required must be made by request from your company and approval granted from the responsible Norske Skog or OG management person through the ERS department. All vehicles entering the site may be subject to inspection by the ERS officer at any time as part of the conditions of entry. Access cards. All employees will be given a personal access card to operate their respective site turnstiles and car park entry and exit. Contractors will need to make a request and provide a purchase order for a site access card. There is a cost involved. This should be pre-arranged by your company. Temporary visitor cards are available for daily access use for company visitors requiring access through turnstiles. ' Short-term contractors working on site will be asked to use the daily sign-in and sign-out register at the main reception desk. Using your entry card to operate gate. The chip in your access card contains information and codes to operate the gate. To operate the gate, hold your card to the electronic reader pad for approximately 5 seconds or until the beep sound. Entry and exit will then be granted. Potential problems and solutions. Gate will not open. Not holding access card at reader pad long enough. Incorrect card. Your induction has expired. You do not have access rights to that particular gate. Faulty or broken card. Faulty reader pad. Action. Report to the Norske Skog reception or phone 07 323 3456, the ERS department, if you have any problems with the gates. This phone number is printed on your induction card. All access points to the site are electronically monitored by CCTV cameras. Entry and exit using the access card are recorded on a database. Do not misuse your access card. Cards are issued for one person only. Do not share your card with others. Do not enter the site or pass through a gate without using the access card. Drivers of vehicles using the side gates, remember one vehicle to pass through the gate at any time. No tailgating. All passengers must get out of the vehicle and use their individual card on the turnstiles at the Norske Skog main gate entry and exit. Any misuse of access cards may result in the card being voided and access to the site being denied. Your company will be charged the cost of replacement for lost access cards. Any damage caused to gates, barrier arms by neglect may be charged to your company to cover cost of repairs needed. Movement on site. Pedestrians must keep to marked walkways and watch for traffic at all times. Take note of signage in different areas which point out specific hazards or instruction. Please observe these requests. On-site road rules. When driving on-site, normal road rules apply. Maximum speed is 20 km per hour in most areas. The speed may be reduced in certain areas on-site. Watch for signage. Obey all road signage. Stop at all stop signs. Give way at give way signs. In addition, comply with the following rules. Trains always have the right of way. Stop at all rail crossings and check it is clear before proceeding. Watch for other road users and pedestrians. Use headlights and hazard lights if driving in basements or darkness or through log yards. A maximum speed of 5 km an hour applies in the basement areas. Caution must be taken at all times and be aware of others working in the area. Park vehicles considerately. Do not park on or over any yellow fire hydrants or blue fire main valves. These may be required in an emergency. Do not block doorways. Keys should be left in the ignition in case your vehicle is required to be moved. No smoking in vehicles. No phone use while driving on site. Note, Norske Skog is an absolutely smoke-free site. Smoking on OG is restricted to designated areas only. Signage. Signage displayed in and around the site to be obeyed. Vehicle signage, limiting vehicle speeds, road markings indicating stop, give way, no entry, no parking areas, height restrictions. PPE requirements, additional to minimum standard PPE, pedestrian walkways, restricted areas. Plant area entry procedures. Warning, danger signs. Temporary cordoned off areas with either barriers, cones and tape. Personal protective equipment, PPE. minimum standard PPE, high-vis jacket / overalls, day or night standard. Arms and legs must be covered in operational areas. Safety footwear, hard hat, safety eyewear, earplugs or ear muffs are mandatory when entering certain plant areas. Pedestrian restricted areas. These areas will have signs displayed and may have a procedure to follow if entry is required. Usually, it will start by reporting to the area's control room or office, informing the operator of your purpose or need to enter the area. Plant area entry procedure. Some areas, plant on site, will have a procedure to follow before entry is permitted. This may be as simple as signing in and out of the control room, or it may require a specific induction to be set before entry will be permitted. The whole reason for this is your safety and that you are aware of the hazards and dangers in the area, and that everyone concerned is aware of your presence and location. Also, in the event of an emergency or local area emergency, the operator will know where you are. Warning and danger signs. These are just that. They may be permanent or temporary, highlighting that caution is required. The message may take the form of a simple "Danger, keep out" or some other warning or cautionary message may be displayed. Either way, adhere to any signage message. Seek further information from the area supervision or plant operators concerned before entering the area. Temporary cordons and barricades. Any taped off or solid barrier cordoned off areas should have a dated and signed label or tag by the person responsible for attaching it, along with a contact phone number. It should be tied to the barrier or taped, briefly explaining the reason for the cordon. That person should always be contacted to gain further information on whether it is safe or permissible to access. Any use of temporary tape or cordons should be removed immediately after use. The decision on what type of cordon or barricade to use will depend upon the hazards associated with the task. Consult with the job owner. Permits. Any work carried out on-site will require the relevant permits before commencing. These should be arranged by your company contact or job owner. Permit to work, hot work, confined space, excavation work, fire systems and waterways impairment. Application for use of fire water, isolations. Permit to work. Any non-routine work being done on site requires a permit to work. The purpose of the permit to work is to identify and control hazards during work tasks, identify and control hazards associated with where the tasks are taking place, make aware of emergency procedures and location of emergency equipment, notify others that the job tasks are taking place. All hazards are identified using the process of a job safety analysis. Job Safety Analysis, JSA. The JSA is a simple tool used to identify potential hazards and to adopt the safest way to do the job or task in a step-by-step process. The JSA must be completed before any work commences. Everyone involved in carrying out the work should read and understand the completed JSA and ensure it is followed. In addition to a permit to work, depending on the work being undertaken, other permits may be required. Hot work permit. These are required before starting any work involving welding, gas cutting, grinding, heating, or any other means where heat or embers are generated and there could be a risk of fire. Conditions are applied to these permits. Ensure you are aware of them. Confined space permit, notifiable work. All confined space work on site must have a confined space permit before work commences. All site procedures must be followed. Work under the conditions of that permit. Be supervised by a trained confined space watch person. Have an atmospheric gas test completed prior to entry by a suitably trained operator. Wear a suitably tested personal gas detector or monitor where necessary. Correct PPE, including respiratory devices if deemed a requirement. Any entrance should be trained or hold the required unit standard. Excavation permit, notifiable work. Any excavation work on site deeper than 400 millimetres will require an excavation permit. These will need to be arranged with your site work contact, and arrangements can then be put in place, and you will be required to follow the site procedures that are in place. Plans or maps will be required to be checked and understood before any excavation work is permitted. The permit will be required to be signed off by the site civil coordinator or SU. Other interested parties may need to be informed. Plumbing, electrical, telecommunications, ERS department, area supervisors and area operators. Fire systems and waterway impairment permit. Any site work or maintenance on any fire system's fire water mains, which includes any isolation of fire valves, will require a signed copy of this permit by appointed authorised persons only before any work can proceed. This permit, in the first instance, is obtained from the Norske Skog ERS department. This permit is used by both OG Fibre Solutions and Norske Skog sites. Fire water usage permit. Any use of fire mains water from hydrants or fire risers must be requested through the Norske Skog ERS department. This is vital, as these fire mains are on a ring main and have alarms and pressure monitoring systems attached to maintain a constant high pressure for emergency use. These mains supply fire sprinkler and deluge systems, hydrants and risers throughout all the site buildings and offices. Any variation in the mains pressure will activate an alarm and the backup emergency fire pump's water supply. To avoid this, any use of fire main water required must be requested, recorded, and a permit issued. Isolations. The isolation procedures may vary on NST and OG site. However, the principle is the same. For safety reasons and your own personal safety, when performing any isolations, you must follow that specific company's procedures. Please note, if you are unfamiliar with the plant or site procedures, then always confirm with your supervisor or the job owner before commencing any work. Isolations on NST and OG site are required when there is any source of energy that could cause harm, for example, electrical, risk of electric shock, mechanical, a risk of crush or blunt trauma from equipment rotating, moving or being driven, gravitational, a risk of crush or blunt trauma from equipment or stock moving under its own weight, thermal, a risk of burns, chemical, a risk of burns or poisoning, radiation, a risk of burns or poisoning, compressed air, gas, liquids, hydraulics, a risk of entrainment in blood and body. Isolation devices. An isolation device is equipment that enables isolation of a process or equipment hazards. The isolation device is secured in the safe position by a card or by a card and a padlock where required. A card can be either a personal hold card or a group isolation card and identifies to others which equipment is being worked on. Any isolation device attached to plant or equipment can only be removed by the individual person named on that isolation. Individual isolations. These are carried out day to day when the plant is running, usually on breakdowns or when some other maintenance is required. These isolations still require the site procedure to be followed, with the involvement of an authorised person or persons who are experienced and have the knowledge of all the required isolations and isolation devices to be used. Group isolation procedure. A group isolation procedure involves a predetermined list of isolations and actions that are required to safely isolate a complex piece of equipment. Each procedure is given a unique group isolation permit number. The group isolation permit lists all the isolations and actions that are required to safely isolate a complex piece of process equipment. The group isolation permit shows the group isolation permit number, the equipment being isolated, and the list of actions required. Remember to remove your hold card and isolation padlocks before leaving the site for the day or at the end of your shift. Fall prevention procedures. For work where there is a risk of falling, fall prevention procedures must be in place. Fall prevention measures may include performing the task in such a way that the risk of a fall is removed, or other measures such as the use of scaffolding, elevated platforms, or a restraint device. Harnesses must be worn. Hazards. This site has many hazards. It provides clear signage throughout. Be cautious at all times and follow the requirements specific to individual plants' areas. Hazards on site include toxic chemicals and gases, high voltage power cables, overhead lines, heat processing areas, steam, chemical pipes, vehicular traffic and pedestrian traffic, trains, site, plant maintenance, environment, conditions, sun, rain, wind, dust, noise. Heavy machinery is operating around the clock. Log stackers and loaders in and around the log yards, and bulldozers working on the chip and hog piles. When working on site, always consider hazards that may not be directly involved with your own task. Asbestos materials are in use on site and may be in the form of building materials, insulations, etc., and should be identified. Always seek further information from the job owner and site hazard register before proceeding with any construction or demolition work. Safety showers. Safety showers are located in hazardous areas where there is a potential risk of chemical splashes or burns. These showers are designed for emergency use only. Please familiarise yourself with the location of the safety shower if you are working in one of these areas. Safety showers can be identified by their distinct white and green stripes. Most safety showers also have eye wash facilities and are alarmed to the area's control room or the ERS department. When activated, the shower will send an alarm to the operator, who will then respond by calling the ERS department for an ambulance medical assistance. In the event of any chemical splash, burns to yourself, do not hesitate to use these showers. Once in the shower, remove all affected, contaminated clothing that might retain the chemical. Remain in the shower until help arrives. Ensure that the body part affected is completely exposed to the water. Remain in the shower for at least 20 minutes. If you notice someone in a safety shower, do not hesitate to call the emergency phone 07 323 3033 or the 8000 landline. Remain and encourage the person to stay in the shower until medical assistance arrives. Stormwater drains, spillages. Stormwater drains. These are painted blue with a white border and may drain directly into the Tarawera River. In the event of a chemical fuel spillage, every attempt should be made to cover the drains with the blue drain covers located in the drain cover stations close by high-risk areas to prevent chemicals, fuel from entering these drains. In case of a spillage, contact ERS department, phone 07 323 3033 for assistance. Hazard and injury reporting. Use the following phone numbers. They are printed on your induction card. Emergency only 07 323 3033. Non-emergency 07 323 3456. Report any hazards or potential hazards to a site operator in your area to the 24-hour ERS department on 07 323 3456. The hazard can then be checked out and the appropriate action taken. Report any injury sustained whilst on site to the Norske Skog Occupational Health Centre 24 hours located at Norske Skog Tasman reception. First aid treatment will be given. Emergency response. Emergencies, fire, spillage, first aid and other incidents. For any emergency situation on site, call our emergency response team on 07 323 3033 or the internal landline 8000. The team are equipped and trained in firefighting and pre-hospital emergency care. We'll respond immediately to all calls on site to assess the situation. We'll relay any messages for further emergency assistance as required. The site has its own ambulance and fire appliance, which are able to respond within minutes to any incidents on site. Remember, it is better to make a false alarm call with good intent than to not make a call. On-site emergencies, including mill-wide evacuations. Emergencies can happen at any time, categorized in this video into two types: minor or local plant area emergency, major mill-wide emergency. Minor local plant area emergencies. Any local plant area emergency is just confined to that area. There will be a local alarm sounding and red flashing beacons warning those within the vicinity to stay clear, evacuate the immediate area, and/or do not enter or re-enter until the all clear is given by the area operator. If unsure, always check by contacting the operator control room via phone before entering. These areas on site include chlorine plant, lime kiln, recovery boiler, continuous pulping group CD, pulp mill, bleach plant. Other alarms on site may be local area fire evacuation alarms. The same rule applies. Evacuate to a safe area or assembly point outside the immediate area sounding the alarm. Always consider wind direction and attempt to always move upwind of any smoke, gases or vapours. If you are working in an area downwind of a gas leak, never attempt to walk or drive through a gas cloud. Move outwards and away, then attempt to get upwind of the gas cloud. If this is not possible, keep moving away from the gas cloud. Other alarms on site include warning alarms, overhead cranes operating, lifting in hatchways, plant startups. All these alarms are warnings for everyone to stay clear and be aware of the situation. Major mill-wide emergency and alarm. This alarm is a loud rise and fall sounding siren to alert everyone on the mill site and surrounding areas of an uncontrolled or imminent emergency. This alarm will sound until it is deemed that everyone on site is aware and responding to an emergency station. Red warning lights are located along the main highway, Tamarangi Drive, north of the overhead bridge and south of the mill site. Lights are also located on the overhead bridge entrance to warn traffic entering the mill to stop and proceed no further. During a mill-wide alarm, these lights will be activated. The emergency could be a major gas leak, fire, earthquake, or other incident. But whatever the reason, it is important to have a plan of action. Should such an eventuality take place while you're on site, we ask you to follow a few basic procedures. For your safety, if on site, park up your vehicle and apply the park brake and turn off the engine. Make your way to the nearest mill emergency station. These stations are signposted and located throughout the mill. Familiarise yourself with the station nearest to where you are working or visiting. Turn on the emergency broadcast receiver green box at the station. Adjust the volume and listen to the broadcast.
Green box number 34. Calling green box number 34.
Make a list of all persons gathered at the station. Follow any instruction messages transmitted to your specific station number. Each station has a number.
Emergency box 34. Could you please evacuate with your green box and register? Please stay together and move to assembly point A.
If asked to evacuate the station to a specific assembly point, take the emergency broadcast receiver with you. It lifts off the wall. Take the list of names collected.
Everyone move and remain together as a group.
Keep listening to the receiver green box for further instructions. An all clear message will be broadcast and the all clear alarm will be sounded once the emergency is over or under control. This alarm is a long 20-second continuous siren blast repeated 6 times. Assembly points. There are 4 main assembly points on the mill site. These are located 1. west of the mill site in the Norske Skog main car park. 2. South of the mill site by the Norske Skog main store. 3. Southeast of the pulp mill by the fence line boundary. 4. North of the mill site by the weighbridge overhead bridge. These assembly points are used in the event of any major incident on site where controlled evacuations may be required. However, remember, in the first instance, and for your safety, always report to a mill emergency station and remain there, listening for any broadcast information instruction. The assembly points all have equipment boxes attached and secured by a coded padlock. This code will be given via your radio receiver, so keep listening. Inside the box, there is a first aid pack for any injuries and a radio transmitter, which you will be instructed to turn on. Keep listening, as you may be requested to transmit a message back to the Mill Emergency Control Centre to confirm your arrival at the assembly point. Do this by pressing the operating button on the transmitter radio and speak slowly and clearly. An all clear message will be broadcast and the all clear alarm will be sounded once the emergency is over or deemed under control. Mill-wide emergency alarm testing. First Monday of every month at 0900 hours. We ask everyone on site to participate by responding to the nearest mill emergency station and listening to the broadcast message over the radio receiver. The tests include sounding of the mill-wide alarm 6 times, rise and fall cycles, the broadcasting system to all mill emergency stations, green boxes. All entry gates and turnstiles will be locked during this time. Sounding of the all clear alarm, test completed. 2 20-second continuous blasts. Any problems, faults, report to the ERS department 07 323 3456. We value people and their personal safety. Take the time to be safe.